Hi guys, welcome back to part 2. So we're in the middle of making this guy. So next will be the legs. So I'm just going to set him aside for now. Now the legs, we're actually going to start with yellow. The yellow is going to be the bottom of his feet. Turn the lighting up a little bit on my camera. Didn't want it too much because I want you to be able to see this. So the legs are pretty simple, but we will be doing a color change, and we will be doing a magic ring. So we're still working with the 5mm H hook. So starting with a magic circle, you're going to single crochet 6. You're going to pull shut. Find my stitch marker, which is yellow, so I'm going to change that. Oh, there's my blue one. So change it to the blue one that I had sitting there. So now you're going to just do 2 single crochets in every stitch around. If you can get into the first stitch. The first stitch is always a pain in the butt. So 2 single crochets in every stitch around. I'm going to use my marker. So you should have a total of 12 stitches when you're done. Or you can just count 2, 4, 6, 8, you know. And that is 12. So, put that in my mouth and try to talk. So, in the next 3 stitches, you're going to put 2 double crochets each. Two double crochets each in those 3. Then you're going to put 2 half double crochets into the next 2 stitches, so 2 in each half double crochets. This is shaping the foot. And then you're going to put 2 single crochets in the next 5 stitches. And then 2 half double crochets in the last 2 stitches. Sorry, my battery died. So I'm on the last stitch of 2 half double crochets. So that has shaped our foot. That's why it was so oddball. So now that we've shaped our foot, we have one more row of yellow before we go back to our blue. And we're going to be working in the back loops only. So we're just going to be doing a single crochet in the back loops only, all the way around. So just going to go into that back loop and do a single crochet all the way around for 24 stitches. And 24. This is where we change colors. So I'm going to take my marker out. I'm going to get my blue, which I have handy here. So I'm just going to lay my color here and do what looks like a chain one, but we're not chaining one, we're working in the round. So I'm just going to pull down on that. For rows 5 and 6. So for the next 2 rows, you're single crocheting in every stitch around for 24 stitches. So once you have your stuff like this, and you're going to carry the yellow and the blue with you for a little bit. Yeah, so now my yellow's starting to get in the way. I'm just gonna snip my yellow off. I'm done with that until the next leg. So you can just count your stitches and make sure. And yes, this is a funny shape. It's supposed to be. So. So I have 24 stitches. You just want to make sure you have 24 stitches. So the next row is going to be the same thing. It's just a single crochet in every stitch around. So I'm going to put my stitch marker. back in. Alright, so the next row is going to consist of 2 single crochets together 6 times around. So do them 6 times and then I'll tell you what to do after that. That is 6 times around. And in the next 12 stitches, you're just going to single crochet. And that should take you right to your marker. So once you're back up to your marker, you can do the next row is just a straight up single crochet all the way around. You're going to have elongated stitches from doing your 2 together, so be very cautious on where your stitches are. So the next row, you're going to do 2 together 5 times around. And that's 5 and 8 single crochets back up to your marker. So you should have 13 stitches. So for the next 4 rows, so from here, the next 4 rows are going to be just single crochet around, so you should have 13 stitches. And then you can fasten off and you can stuff your little guy if you want and make number 2. So I'll put the words on the screen for what you have to do. So I've got both my feet made now. So put your piece together, and you can just simply do a whip stitch. So you can just set your appendages aside for now, because I'm going to show you, let's get rid of this black, I'm going to show you how to sew it on all together, and we're not going to be using this. This type of needle is great for what we're going to do, because we're going to do invisible stitches. So this needle is great. However, this needle is even better. So if you have a needle like this, then that's fabulous, because we're going to be able to come into the stitch and then into the doll in just a rocking motion, so we can do our invisible stitches. If you have a needle like this, that's fine too, with the little hook on the end. That's fine too. It's just going to be a little harder. It's just a lot easier with the other needle. A lot harder to thread the other needle. But we want to do invisible stitches because we don't really want to see where we sewed the legs and the arms and the ears on. Alright guys, so we're going to start this with a magic circle, which you should be getting pretty good at by now. Mine might have been a little tight. So you can start by putting 10 single crochets into this hole. That is 10, so you can close up it a little bit. You don't need to pull it all the way closed, because you still need to try to get into this first stitch, which is a pain in the butt. But, if you just take a needle and kind of do that, kind of brings your stitch up a bit, so it's easier to get into. So this next round we're going to do 1 2 1 2. That's going to be our repeat all the way around. So you're going to need a stitch marker. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in the first stitch. Okay, I did that and I'm still struggling to get it in that first stitch. So that's 1 single crochet and then our stitch marker. So by the end of this round you should have 15 stitches. So if you just wanted to count 15 as you go along, then that works too. So 1 in that stitch with our stitch marker. So the next one is going to get 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Then the next one's going to get 1. And the next one's going to get 2. So that's your repeat all the way around. So you should end off with 2 if you've done everything correct, because you started it with 1. So you should have 15 stitches. So you got to count this as 1. And 15 is your loop. So for rows 3 and 4, you can just simply do a single crochet all the way around. So put in your first stitch and your stitch marker. So row 3 is single crochet, 1 in each stitch all the way around, for a total of 15 stitches. Okie dokie, so row 5 is where we're going to decrease a little bit for our arm. So let's put our first stitch in, and then I'll get to what we're going to do. And our stitch marker. So we're going to do 3 single crochets, and then we're going to crochet 2 together. So this is our first one with our marker. So that's 1, 2 single crochets, and that's our third single crochet. And then we're going to crochet these 2 together, so just like we've been doing, and that's your repeat. So then you're going to do the same thing, 3 single crochets and then 2 together. So you should have a total of 12 stitches after this. And you should also land on your stitch marker if you've done everything right. The end of your repeat should land on your stitch marker. So from rows 6 to row 22, it's just going to be a single crochet all the way around. So you'll have 12 stitches. So you can use your stitch marker, or you can just count. But I do suggest you use a row counter, because it is row 6 to row 22. So it's pretty pretty big arm, pretty long. And then you'll have to make a second one. So I'll put the words up on the screen for how you do your second arm, so you don't have to rewind the whole video and start again. You can just pause it on my directions and go from there. So I'll put those words up now, and I'm going to continue to single crochet up to my 22nd row. So if you do get lost and you don't have a row counter, you can just count your spirals, but count on this side of the hook, because if you count on this side of the hook, you're going to be short because it's a spiral. So if you count on this side, you're going to miss this. So if you get lost, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm starting my row 7 if you don't have a row counter. So I'll put the prompts up on the screen so you can just pause it and then finish building this arm, and then with the prompts on the screen you can build your second arm, and I'll meet you right back here after. Alright guys, I'm done my second arm. So just like before with the legs, I'm just going to slip stitch into that next space, and then I'm going to fasten off with a long sewing tail. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to pull it through. We can stuff these. So, make the ears. And again, oh my good lord, where's the end of my... We're going to make a magic ring. So you should be getting super good at them now, since I don't think I was on camera when I did that, so... And you're going to put 10 single crochets inside this ring. And we can pull this closed part way. You want to be able to get into your stitches okay. So for the next round, we're just going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around, and again you can just loosen that by pulling up and wiggling. You loosen that first stitch that you got to get into. So 2 single crochets in each stitch. So after the first stitch you want to put your marker in, and then put your second stitch in that same hole. So if you count 20 if you don't have a stitch marker. So for round 4, we are going to do, we're still increasing, 1 for a stitch marker, we're going to do 3 single crochets, 3, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then again 3 single crochets, 1 in each space, and then 2 single crochets in the same space. And our last repeat. 3 single crochets. And then 2 single crochets in the same space. So the next 4 rows, so you should have 25 stitches. And the next 4 rows, you're just going to do single crochets. So this is starting row 5 to row 9. It's just going to be single crochets. So pause it here, and I'll meet you back after you're done row 9. Alright, so I'm all done my 4 rows. Excuse me. And so it should look like a little cup like this. So your next row, we're going to start our decreases now. So row 10 is going to be 3 single crochets, so 1 in each stitch. And then 2 together. So that's 1. Three single crochets, and then 2 together, all the way around. So you should have 20 stitches. So rows 11 to row 12, you're just going to do a single crochet in each stitch around. And I'll meet you right back here. Alright, now that I'm done, we're going to go on to row 13, and we are going to do another decrease. So this decrease is going to consist of 2 single crochets, 1 in each stitch, and then 2 together. So that's our first one. This is our second one, and then 2 together. So that'll be our repeat all the way back around to our marker. And again, you should land at your marker. Oops. So row 14 and 15 is just going to be single crochets all the way around, 1 in each stitch, and I'll meet you back here after. So now that I've done those 2 rows, we're now on row 16, and it's another decrease. So we're going to do 1 single crochet. Let's put our marker back, and then your decrease. So 2 together, and that's our repeat. So rows 17 to 23 are going to be single crochet in every stitch around. And then you're going to make number 2 ear after. Okay, let's start with the legs. So let's get his feet on. So you want him to be able to sit. Let me thread my needle first. So we are going to, I'm just going to get some pins so I can put him in place. But we are going to count 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then that'll make my legs do that, and he'll be able to sit on his own. But if you put him back one more, let's put him back one more. Yeah, he's sitting up more upright. Going back one more row. Now keep in mind, these legs aren't going to be bent up that far. They're going to be down a little bit. The pins are making them sit up that far, but So once we have our legs where we think we want them, I'm just going to come up and I'm going to tack it right on this corner. So I'm going to come up as close as I can. This is why you want one of these ones that bend like this. So I'm going to just try to come up as close to this corner as I can through that stitch. Hopefully my camera stays in focus for that. So I've got that down. I'm just going to take this pin out because I do kind of need to lean him back a little bit to find my stitches. So I'm going to come up again just in these first couple of stitches. And pull as tight as you can. I'm going to take the other pin out. So now I've got that corner tacked. I can just use discretion as far as... So this is going to be hard to do for you to see because I'm used to holding it really close to my body. So all your little stitches all along here, this is where you're going to roll up into. So you're going to come in as close as you can to the leg. Whether I'm behind my... See, this is my last stitch and I'm coming in behind it and it doesn't even matter. So I'm going to roll up and I'm going to get in to that stitch just like that. And I'm going to try to keep doing that so you don't see the stitches. Give a snug little pull. Sorry, I'm trying to do this as easy peasy as possible and I got a camera in the way. So again, I'm coming in as close as I can to that leg and I'm going to roll up underneath and I'm going to grab those stitches and sometimes it might get stuck because there's stuffing underneath there, and you're going to pull tight and you're going to just keep repeating that. So I'm not really coming up where I want to come up. I'm trying to hit every stitch. So there we go. I'm trying to hit every single stitch. Let me turn this guy. So again, I'm coming in right underneath his leg almost. And I'm going to roll up into the next stitch. See how close I am? It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it because we won't be able to see our stitches much. You're going to be able to see them. You're just not going to see them much. So please make sure you go down inside the doll as well. So you might think how is coming up right in those stitches going to be secure, but it'll be secure. So, well, I just lost that leg. So we can come around the back and we can keep practicing that same roll. And I just want to roll up. I just want to roll up into that corner because I really want that corner secured. It is time consuming, but it is worth it in the end. So this hook needle is also really good for pulling, because some of these can be quite difficult. Sorry, my camera shut off. Ultimately, what this should look like is just other stitches, like crochet stitches and not sewing stitches, because you're coming so close to that leg, and then you're just going up into the stitch. So I come back up in that corner where I started. So now that you've got your leg on there, just like that, this is where you're just going to take your needle and start in as close as you can to the leg, and then just let it pop out wherever, oh, there it is. Just let it pop out wherever it's going to pop out. And then you can do a little tiny loop around. And that just looks like a crochet stitch. And then you can go back in again as close as you can to your yarn. And you can just pop out in another direction, in another spot. And you can't tell that you were even there. If the leg tries to come undone, it has to work itself out of this loop, through here, wherever I just had that other one, I can't even tell, over here through the other loop, and then wiggle all the way back over here. That's how much it has to work out. So if a stitch does come loose from child tugging on it or whatever, it may pull away where somebody, mom's gonna say, oh gosh, I need to put a stitch in there and hold this in. But it's not going to come all the way off, and the stuffing's not going to come out, and so that baby's at risk or anything like that. So, but I like to do this 3 times. So I like to go in again as close as you can to your yarn, and then just pop out in a different spot. So I do that 3 times just because I'm extra secure. Oh, might have pulled that a little tight. And then do another little loopy. So that's our first leg, completely secured. Secured. And now that my other leg fell off, I'm not sure why it fell off, other than I probably banged it. So I'm going to try to fasten it again. Get our stitch in to secure this in place. Do a couple of stitches. Take that needle out. Actually, I'm going to take the other needle out now that I've got my spot. And then again, I'm just going to roll this back and I'm just going to keep trying to find the stitches. And I'm going to, oops. Try to keep my guy in place. Oh, I missed. To keep checking to make sure I'm on camera. And I'm just going to keep trying to come up into the stitches. And I keep missing them. But you also want to make sure that you do go actually down into the rabbit. The stitches should all be buried if you're getting close enough. So I'm going to turn this. Just make sure that you're pulling tight. So that's why one of these needles comes in so handy. And you are going to go stitch for stitch. If you don't want your, if you want your things to just look like crochet stitches, if you don't want your stitches to look like sewing stitches, then you're going to have to go stitch for stitch. Like I said, it's time consuming, but it's worth it because you will not see these stitches. I mean, you will see them because you know where you've put them, but somebody else isn't going to see them. So the arms is just going to be the top part of the rabbit, the top part of the arms, but do one more stitch just to nab this stitch there that I hadn't gotten yet. So then just do the same thing. Come down as close as you can to that leg and then just pop out wherever your needle pops out. So we can do our arms. Now these arms, so I've got his head turned a little bit. I do that with all my stuffed animals. I have him sitting there, but his head's always slightly turned. So one arm is going to be here. That's generally what I do. So one arm's going to be here, and the other arm's going to be there. But you can do something like this, or something like this. It's all up to you on what you do. But I'm going to do mine like he's sitting on an angle, just kind of keeping up with what his head's saying to me. And I literally sew his arms in right at the neck. So that's what we're going to do. Just for time constraints, I'm going to do one arm with you, and then I'm going to leave you to do the other arm. Because I can't make this video a three-parter because I think people would kill me if I did that. So, but the arm's actually easier than the legs. So you can pin all your stuff, figure out where you want all your stuff. I want that corner to be snug because I'm not doing the underside of this arm. And the reason I'm not doing the underside, so that's the side, this is what we just did, so you can't hardly see those stitches at all. And the reason I'm not doing the underside of the arm is because that would lift his arm up, and I want his arm to be down like that. So that is why we're not doing that. So now we can just go in as close as we can with our tour. You can go back up here if you don't find that this is hello. You can go back up this way. What is my camera doing? That is bizarre. Wow. If you don't feel that it is secure enough, you can go back up this way. I'm gonna just take my needle and I'm just gonna pop out in random places and do what we've been doing, just making sure it's secure. So, there's my arm, and you can just squish the stuffing back up because we kind of made him out of shape. So there's one of my arms. So you can sew your other arm on, and I'll meet you back here to do the ears. All right, there's my guy, and there's his arms. Isn't he cute? Alright guys, let's sew. I sewed one ear on already. So we're going to sew the other ear on. And I did it literally right at the top. So you can put in your pins, but I'm just going to hold mine. Just making sure these are even. So I'm just going to go up into that corner. And then I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to continue to roll my needle as close as I can to the neck, right next to the ear, and then roll it up into the stitches. Make sure you pull super tight. Oops, I missed. It's a lot easier to do not on camera because I can hold it close to my body. I'm just trying to come up on the corner. So I'm just going to roll up into that corner. So you can go back across if you want to make sure that it's super secure, but I think I'm just going to come down and around over here, because I do want to grab part of this corner, and then I'm just going to come down and I'm going to do my pop out somewhere, but I wanted to make sure I got that corner down. So I don't want to pull too tight because I don't want it to be like out of shape. So there's our little guy. So these ears are not stuffed, obviously. We didn't stuff them, but you can still move them around and shape them like that. Alright, time to make a little powder puff tail. So I'm going to do both blue and yellow. And I am simply just going to start winding around my hand. Now, if you have a pom-pom maker, like I do, that's great, but I'm going to show you guys how to do it another way. So if you don't have a pom-pom maker, which invest in one, they are so much easier. I mean, this is easy. It's not like it's hard, but it's cuts off the circulation a bit. So I'm just going to wrap some yellow in there because he has some yellow on his paws. On his little feet. Actually, it's probably about all the blue I'm going to use. So I'm just going to snip that off using right-handed scissors with my left hand. Because I am a rebel. So, before your fingers turn blue, we'll get this done. So you can take your hand out. I'm going to cut the yellow. So now I'm going to grab my blue because I'm going to tell you there is no secret to this. But I do want to just try to keep everything on the inside separated, so I'm actually going to pull some of this blue through. So we wrap as tight as we can around, as tight as we can. going to tie a knot. A really, really tight double knot. So you want to keep these pieces for sewing on. So now that once you've got this, we have my little baggie. Because this is where it's going to get messy. So where it was folded, and you might miss a few, but stick your finger or stick your scissors in there and cut. The majority of you probably already know. So there's a few stragglers that need to be cut in there, so you can just do that now. Or you'll end up snipping them off later when you cut this down. And do the same thing on the other side. You're going to need some pretty... be sure not to cut your strings you need for sewing, like I just about did. So, put some in here. Some left over here. So, this is now at your ugly pom-pom stage. We're just going to give it a little shake. So this is where we start to trim, because this is the ugliest pom-pom. So the shorter we go, the softer this is going to look. So we just start to cut. Alright, there we have it. A funky tail. So, once you've shaken it out and know that you've got all your little pieces, I still managed to make a mess. So we can set that aside for now. So we can expose his buttocks. Maybe put it, I don't want it to impede his sitting. Maybe right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 area. So I'm just going to put my needle in, pull down. I really got nowhere to stick it in. Do you know what I mean? Like there's, I can, where I tied that knot, I could try to get in there and come back in. But I don't really want to. Almost unthreaded that. So I think I'm just going to do some weaving and some knot tying while I weave, just to kind of keep it in place. You know, if you pull tight enough. Just going to do another little knot right here. So your knots just look like stitches. They're not noticeable. And again, I'll just weave. I'll weave and come out on this side. And then I'll use this to tighten him down on this side. But as long as it doesn't fall off, it doesn't really matter if it's waggly. Yeah, I can't get up in that. So I'm just going to pull really tight on that. Kind of made a knot underneath where I can't really see it. There's my knot. And you can't even really see the knot, but it's kind of underneath the tail. So you can do stuff like that if you want. I'll do another one. My polyfill just fell off the chair. So I'll make another knot underneath there and just pull it snug. I got some more trimming to do. So once I think it's snug as a bug, I'm gonna do my usual making my loops and tie another knot down here. I think that's pretty good. I mean, it's wobbly, but it is a tail. So, a little more trimming to be done. So once it's on, I'm sure you'll find lots of things to trim like I am right now. Lots more things to trim. So you can mess around with it. Yep. Keep touching it, keep finding new spots. But the shorter you go, the more softer it looks. So it can't really be a bad thing unless you go really, really, really too short. Cute. Anyway, there's Mr. Easter Bunny. Thanks for joining me, guys. And I'll see you in the next video.